3 days ago, this fresh N54 looked like scrap metal on the floor. Now it's sealed, spotless, and begging for its first start. But there's a catch. Before it can taste gasoline, the dead, dripping disaster still wedged in the car has to come out. And judging by the sludge waterfall I just found, that job is going to be a war. Alright, let's reset real quick and talk about the new heart for the E60. What you're seeing here is more than just a motor. It's weeks of meticulous work, a mountain of parts, and an obsession with getting it right. This N54, which honestly looked like it belonged in a junkyard when I first got it, caked in grime, missing components, a truly sad sight, has undergone a complete transformation. Hey guys, I wanted to show you my new tool. Guess what? I think I'm a detailer now. Okay, so I'm gonna get this engine block the cleanest I can. I'm gonna put some degreaser on there, scrub it a little bit with my little tool, and then I'm gonna move on to pulling the engine out the E60.
Blues, bitch, we went large. $250,000.
With the E60, when it comes to engine removal, you essentially have two schools of thought. You can either drop the front subframe, which gives you fantastic access from below, or you can pull the nose, which opens up the engine bay from the front. Dropping the subframe wasn't a practical option because my table actually broke. The subframe is a heavy, complex assembly, and trying to maneuver it without the proper equipment would have been an exercise in futility, not to mention a serious safety hazard, so the nose comes off. This process transforms the crammed, intimidating engine bay into something resembling an empty swimming pool. It gives you room to breathe, to work, in crucial sight lines that make the entire removal process significantly easier. The bumper, which looks like a daunting piece to remove, is actually quite straightforward. It's held on by 8 T30 Torx screws up top, 2 10mm bolts hidden behind each fender liner, and a row of those evil Christmas tree clips that always shear off or get lost. I swear BMW buys these things in bulk knowing we'll need replacements. Once those are out, a little gentle tugging and the bumper is off, revealing the core support. Now, some people remove the headlights, but you really don't have to. The front end comes in two pieces. You have the front crash bar, and then you have the radiator and AC condenser connected together as one piece. It's a surprisingly elegant design, allowing for excellent access for front end service, and it makes engine removal significantly less catastrophic. With the bumper off, it's time to start stripping the accessories off the old engine. This is where you get a real sense of the wear and tear this motor has endured. Now, for the wiring harness graveyard, BMW calls it a tree, which sounds elegant and organized. In reality, on a high mileage N54, it feels more like a briar patch, a tangled, brittle mess of wires, connectors, and loom tape. This is where patience is a virtue, and labeling is a paramount. Now, getting any of these connectors or wires wrong when you put the engine back in can cause a misfire code at best or a fried ECU at worst. A simple piece of tape now saves hours of troubleshooting later. I'm going to make more room by removing the intake manifold, so it makes it easier for me when I pull the engine. Now, when I do these N54 engine swaps, I take out the 3 bell housing bolts on top. It makes it easier on me, so when I go to the bottom of the car, I won't have to stretch like Elastigirl to grab the top bell housing bolts. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to like the video. Psst. Hey you, make sure to subscribe. Looks like it's about that time to remove the engine mount bolts. Now this is my favorite part, removing the under trays and unbolting the exhaust from the catalytic converters. Trying to remove these nuts was a nightmare. The bolts are so old they were breaking off in pieces. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like I tried everything in the book, even tried cleaning off the old bolts. To be honest with you guys, this really felt like the end. Everything I was doing and trying just wasn't working. Yes, we did it. We beat the final boss. After that almost impossible task, I'm wiped out, but we still have one more task to complete. My plan is to pull the engine only, leaving the transmission in place. This avoids the extra work of dropping the entire drivetrain, disconnecting drive shafts, and dealing with transmission fluid. To do this, I need to separate the engine from the transmission. These bolts are notorious for being difficult to access. 3 are up top, clearly visible once the intake manifold is off, and there's 8 more on the bottom surrounding the transmission bell housing. Psst. Hey you, like the video. There are 6 torque converter bolts and you can find them here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm exhausted. Once you have all the bell housing bolts out and the torque converter bolts, you want to make sure this torque converter is disconnected from the flex plate. Woo! Alright. Finally it's time to pull the motor out. The moment of truth. The engine is finally ready to come out. I carefully chain up the lift points. One link goes to the cast ear by cylinder 1, a sturdy factory design lifting point. The other goes to the hook behind cylinder 6, ensuring a balanced lift. This is critical for stability and safety. You don't want a several hundred-pound engine swinging wildly. Now begins the slow dance, a dedicated ballet of steel and hydraulics. Up an inch, stop, check clearance around the steering rack. You don't want to damage that sensitive component. Up another inch, confirm the oil pan skirt clears the front subframe. Every millimeter counts here. About 6 inches up, the transfer case snout, which is still attached to the transmission, kisses the firewall. It's a tight fit, a gentle caress of metal on metal, but it clears. Now what I did do is pull this post mount out because where the steering column is, it's too far for me to either, well, there's only two things I can do. I can either remove this or take the steering. What is that called? What is that called? Where you guys get what I mean, the steering rod or whatever. So on this E60, I had to lower the subframe just a bit because even with the post mount out, I was having issues clearing the front differential with the steering rack. So this gave me a little bit more room. These subframes have 6 bolts total, 2 in the front, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the rear. They are 18mm. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like button. Finally, with a gentle push and pull, the engine is free. It rolls forward out the engine bay and into the light. And there it is, the carnage. I don't know about you guys, but after I pull engines, I find some crazy stuff. Like, what's that?